So, what do you believe are the common stereotypes associated with being Muslim?
I think one thing that you have to go with is that everyone thinks Muslims are prude. Like, we're very conservative, we're very strict on our religion. I think another thing is, like, Islam's a violent religion, that Muslims are violent by nature. I don't think that's necessarily true either. So, stuff like that.
You're really not a violent person.
Not at all. Not at all.
So do you believe, like, any of the stereotypes are accurate that are out there?
For some people, I'd say so. I mean, like, but I think every religion has your extremists. Every religion has your conservative base. Christianity has it with the Vatican, the Catholics, stuff like that. You have your racist, not your racist, but your violent people everywhere. I mean, Muslims have convicted crimes, Jews have, and Christians have, so it's just something that happens. I think that's just a humanity thing as opposed to a Islam or a Muslim thing.
Right. I agree with that. Have you ever faced discrimination for being Muslim?
I mean, kind of, I guess. I mean, you always have people calling you names or something. I mean, you always have Osama bin Laden jabs made at you at an airport. It might take you somewhat longer to get through the lines, but it's not that bad of a life, I'd say.
Yeah.
Kind of feel normal every day. It's not too terrible.
So, have you ever noticed, like, particular patterns in the types of people that do the discrimination, like men or women or, you know, older, younger people or certain races or certain, like, Christians, Catholics?
I mean, I would say that an older crowd is probably your more conservative as far as race goes, so they won't naturally accept you as much. I think the younger generation is more liberal in who they accept and stuff like that. I haven't really noticed a certain religion being like, hey, you're Muslim, I hate you, but not much. I mean, I would probably say, like, older people are probably your senior citizens, stuff like that. They're probably a little less informed about the issues, so they hear something on the news, they're like, one Muslim blew up the World Trade Center, all Muslims are going to blow things up, so something like that.
Okay. So have you ever noticed, like, particular places that the discrimination happens most often? Like, you mentioned the airport.
I would definitely say at airports, and I mean, this might be justified in a sense, that if you see someone coming in with a burqa, you might pay extra attention. It's just humanity. I guess you're going to do that. But things like at airports, you're probably going to, like, have a harder time. Random checking is always going to end at you. At small town diners and stuff, people are going to look at you weird, so stuff like that.
Does that make you feel, like, awkward or apprehensive about them? Like, do you, like, dread going to the airport for that reason, or...?
Not necessarily, but I mean, I know a lot of people do that I know that are Muslim, or that are from, like, Southeast Asia and stuff like that, that are brown-skinned and stuff like that. But I mean, I'm just not that type of a person where I let that affect me. But I mean, like, at small-town diners, it's really, really weird to go and have everyone just look at you at once. So it's not the best thing, but it's kind of uncomfortable at first. But I mean, it's something you learn to live with.
Is it something, like, do you think that's just with you that feels that way, or is, like, your entire family, like, you know, like, your mom and dad, like, are they, like, do they feel the same way about it, like, as you? So,
I mean, I would definitely say that sometimes, like, my parents also feel uncomfortable with it. They might actually feel more uncomfortable than I do. I mean, I've known a lot more white people. I know a lot more Christians. I've known a lot more Jews than I have known Muslims or brown-skinned people. So, I mean, I definitely would say that my parents probably are a bit more apprehensive about situations like that. I know my mom doesn't feel extremely comfortable at airports, stuff like that, but I think I'm much more nonchalant about it than they are.
Okay. Do you ever feel as if you need to, like, hide your faith from others, or, I mean, like, do you feel, like, uncomfortable talking about it to people?
Somewhat, yeah, somewhat. I mean, I think religion is a thing you shouldn't talk about really in public, just because I think it's something that's really heated debates. Everyone has their own view. You're not going to switch anyone's view. So, and Islam, the way it is, people have very staunch opinions on it. Some people who think it's a violent religion will think it's a violent religion, no matter how much I tell them I'm the nicest guy in the world. People who think Islam's awesome, they think Islam's awesome. So, I mean, it's something that I don't really like to open up that kind of words type of thing.
Okay, yeah, I feel like that kind of goes along with, like, a lot of other religions too. Like, you don't really just talk about it.
I mean, you don't yell abortion in a crowd theater. It's not something you want to do.
Okay, so did you ever face discrimination specifically after or because of 9/11? You kind of, like, touched on that.
I mean, I would say so. I would say I was really young when that happened, so I can't remember if people made fun of me for being brown before 9/11. But from what I can remember, I would think that's what gave people a lot more ammunition.
Right.
I definitely think so. A lot of the name calling started then. A lot of the your faith is violent stuff started then. A lot of the hey, does your mom wear a burqa started then. Stuff like that. So I definitely think 9/11 really misconstrued what Islam really was.
Right. So what do you wish that, people of other faiths understood more about Muslims? Or people of Islam?
Yeah, I think one thing that I definitely wish people understood are Muslims are just like any other people, especially Muslims in the United States. I think we're as modern as anyone else is, or at least have the opportunity to be as modern as anyone else is. It's not like we're violent by nature. It's not like we'll try to pick fights or that we're conservative deep down inside. I think we're like any other religious group in a sense, and I think that's really been misunderstood for the past few years.
Right. Yeah. So how do you feel about the way that Muslims are portrayed through the media? On TV shows or movies or...
I would definitely say the media has picked up the gimmick of showing women in burqas, showing men who don't know how to speak English. Every man with a beard is Osama bin Laden, something like that. I think it's really, really, really taken the stereotypes that are associated with Islam and just kind of blown those up to a whole new level. I mean, I don't think I've ever met a Muslim that they've shown on Family Guy. I don't think I've ever met that Muslim. I've never met the praying, cab driving, conservative,
right,
non-pork eating Muslim ever in life, I think.
Right. So how could people of other non-Muslim people be an ally to you or other people in situations of discrimination?
I think one thing I think education is really important, and knowing that what the Islamic faith is, paying attention to stuff like that, taking everything that you hear in the news media and everything that you see on TV with a grain of salt. I don't think you necessarily want to believe everything you hear, everything you see, stuff like that. So that's really, really important. And I think that's one thing that can really easily end discrimination, is knowing what the faith is truly about and not what the media perceives it to be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have for you. So thank you very much for your time.
No problem. Hopefully it was helpful.